He did not say anything, but he immediately posted to the same Discord server, clearly indicating that he saw my request for an interview. Listen, if you saw my multi-part coverage of Scorn, look, we can't say that ad hominems don't make their way into TTRPG reviews, because they do. Hey, should they make their way into TTRPG reviews? No, they shouldn't. You know what I mean? There are people that, look, you can say, hey, they made their way into the TTRPG review, but look, there's some characters in this world that are controversial. But Sam Dobler, might not be one of them. And to say that, I engage in ad hominem commentary in my multi-part review of Scorn, um, in fair and balanced review of my own review, I'd have to say, I did talk about his religion. I did talk about his faith. Um, I probably, put the man himself under fairly harsh review multiple times. I assessed his character and found it wanting. Hey man, I was joking around. Come on, Sam. I'm a nice guy. So I'll try and reach out to him and maybe like send him some of the interviews I've done on my other channels and hopefully, reach out to the guy and be like, but like the bottom line is I have to accept the fact that if Sam is less than um, chomping at the bit to uh, to uh, to break bread with me, I have no one to blame but myself. I can't blame him. And if he rebukes me and rebuffs me by not immediately responding or kind of leaving me hanging, as the kids might say, uh, out there, hey, concerning the things that I fairly enough said, during my reviews about Greta Van Fleet alone, um, or about him as a person for listening to Greta Van Fleet. Um, hey, hey, I gave the kid an A minus. Listen, folks, moving on. His response was good, and it is what it is, and like I think he acquiesced at certain points. I don't have a lot of time with you guys. In fact, I think I've got about 6 minutes with you, if I'm going to be completely honest, moving forward. I've had some, but what Scorn did for me is it opened up the door to this new concept of diceless conflict and combat resolution. This is part of this is an aspect of this part of it's not a requirement of this free Kriegspiel movement. There's no right way. It's like noise music. There's no right way to do noise music. One person's going to create stuff this way, another person's going to do their stuff another way. But there's a very influential person in the scene. One of the big guys is this guy Norbert G. Matarush, and he's got one system, the land shut rules, that is kind of, it's one thing, but he's got this other thing here. He's got this Vultrum thing. It's Diceless system for resolution and for gaming. Diceless. We've been talking about this. And this was an aspect of the Scorn system that I found that was diceless, specifically in regards to combat, that I found so daunting. So I remember, I downloaded, and I have this guy's Norbert's blog, and in the OSR and the FKR movement, a lot of this stuff and a lot of this information is talked about in talk about keeping it old school, new school, old school in the blogosphere. Um, the author of Scorn, Sam Dobler, be nice, trying to be nice, has his, I think it's called Dreaming Dragon Slayer blog, a lot of talk happens around these blog rolls and a lot of references to blog posts and stuff. So if you go to this guy Norbert's blog, you're going to see he's got a lot of his gaming systems up, and a lot of these are just one pagers. I'd been thinking about this Diceless game that I had looked at by him, and I kind of had it in the back of my head when I was thinking about and having a lot of my experiences with Scorn. And I came back to it, and actually I was thinking about it, and I had misremembered it. And what it is it basically it's you create your character, and I remembered it as you create your character, and your character is going to have 6 attributes, and you're going to rank them basically from lowest to highest, 1 to 6. And basically, if you have a conflict between any two individuals, you're going to look at the attribute that they're using against each other, and whoever has the highest attribute is going to win. So it's very similar to the Amber kind of diceless, conflict resolution of, the highest number, wins. It's like whoever's got the most power, wins. And it's really about, who's going to use what attribute against whom, and, what you can do. Now, I had misremembered it because I thought it was just any 6 things, items, archetypes, attributes that you could come up with. But when I came back and read the rules, it was actually different. So I've been fantasizing about this. People know that I've got this thing called the meta RPG, what was it? SSP, TTT, what? SSP, TTT, the meta RPG, secret space program, or super space program if we're trying to stay under the radar, time travel technology, the meta RPG. Part of it involves going to old media, concentrating yourself, immersing yourself specifically in the old media of a specific year. We say hello to Tim Frey, we say hello to Jonasai, Golden Coin 100, Mario Heat, glorious people on Twitch and YouTube. You immerse yourself in the media of a given year and attempt to kind of attune yourself to that year, and especially working on things like 20-year nostalgia loops, which I think are very important to society and have this kind of pull. And I was thinking about this thing of the notion of, the first season of Rick and Morty, which was built on nostalgia loops. It started in 2013, the tail end of 2013. The first season of Rick and Morty has 11 episodes, 3 of which occurred actually in 2013. So this year's marks the 10th anniversary of the nostalgia nightmare that was Rick and Morty, okay? And the lion's share of the first season occurs in 2014. Okay. So I was thinking about 2014. I was thinking about these rules. So let's look at these rules because I'm running out of time and I'm going to be late for my next thing, but I'm going to get through at least this much introducing to you. So as part of my meta RPG, kind of my, kind of solo role playing game, group role playing game that I work with, that's both a role-playing game and a sociological analysis of how we've run out of energy and we are facing the kind of societal Armageddon, and a dealing with those feelings about that, and also how to magically mitigate those things as well as play with play. I have this, quasi occult practice, solo RPG, group play RPG, occult practice, this, meta RPG. And, part of this is we watch these old movies, these old TV shows, we gather these things from books or media of any sort from a given year. You watch these things and you can gather tropes and you can gather characters and you can gather moments, and you can look at my other videos for more detailed analysis. And like I said, time is short, so I can't go through all the details. But the bottom line is, I've looking at these old episodes of Rick and Morty from 2014 and other movies from 2014. I have a series of tropes and ideas and cut out implications and moments. And I was doing something similar to what we did with Scorn, of taking the micro chapbook RPG formula of developing a kind of free form a kind of a set series of a list of standard enemies that we can kind of generate and roll up to encounter on a regular basis, and doors that we can encounter on a regular basis. This way, this way that we're gonna do it now, we're gonna encounter them more like portals rather than doors in standard rooms, but they're gonna be more like dimensions or worlds in this instance, and coming up with our character. Um, Something interesting happened, and let me get through this. So let me read you the Vultrum rules, and then I'm gonna just basically take you through the character I generated, the enemies I generated, and the boss that we generated. And we'll talk about a little bit about that, and we'll just be able to scratch the surface. Mario Heat. It's not a CW show without nostalgia shaming. It's not nostalgia shaming. At least that's what I'm trying to do. It's nostalgia commenting, folks. Remember, when you go into a store and you hear 80s music, it might not offend you if you're a child of the 80s or the 90s. You love it. You think it's great. And you see the kids listening to it, and you might not think anything of it. When you see kids of 12 years old, 11 years old, grooving to music from the 80s, remember that's the equivalent of you grooving to Glenn Miller when you were 11 or 12. That's not right. That's the Stepford Wives. Okay? There hasn't been a new form of music since 1993 to 1997, arguably. You can't disprove that. I've talked to people who are music fans, and I say, what is the form of music that you can point to that's a new form of music, a new form of music that legitimately you can say was invented after 1993 or 1997, right? Because we could say 93 or 97, but for drum and bass music, okay? Drill and bass is a variation of drum and bass. That's not new music. Vaporwave is just sample delica. That's not new music. That's just ambient techno. That's not new music. New music is not a cultural. It's not pirate. It's not heavy metal. But they were singing about pirates. It's a new form of music that's doing something new. Like rock and roll was a new form of music. Like rap was a new form of music. There hasn't been a new form of music since 1993 or 1997. Dubstep is not a new form of music. Assholes. Hey, I'm sorry. I love you. Character creation. Here's the Diceless rules. Character creation. Remember, I thought that it was just anything, but we'll talk. Anyway, let me just do it because I'm already 4 minutes late. Character creation. Describe your hero in plain language. Write down what's important to you as a player. Now, I actually wrote down what was important to the character, which I think was it's just the way I did it. To give you some inspiration, archetype. That's a broad character cliche like thief or barbarian or daredevil, space pilot, or similar things. Gimmick. That's the one ability your character has that makes them special. If your character was a toy figure, what would you advertise prominently on the box? Can jump onto a skyscraper, way of the exploding fist, master of escape, cold-blooded sword fighter from the frozen north. Often the character's look or demeanor hint at the gimmick. Skill. Another special ability, this time one that's not obvious or immediately visible. Maybe your character's a martial arts master or she is really strong. Equipment. Does your character have any vehicle or creature to ride on or has control over? Home base. Where does she live? Now, I'll tell you something. Reading it again, I think it could be anything. It could be anything. But I took it as that he was listening to these things: archetype, gimmick, skill, equipment. That could be 3 items. But anyway. And so I took them as that, a vehicle, creature. And then my problem was that I said, well, what if you don't have a vehicle or a creature, and what if you don't have a home base? But then I thought, well, everyone's got to live somewhere, and everyone's got to get away somewhere. Anyway, I don't have a lot of time with you guys, so we'll talk about this probably in another episode. We'll just kind of come back to it. Conflict resolution. If in conflict with another character or situation, compare the ability the character is using to that of the opposing side. The better side wins. Usually one win is all it takes. Referee, if you're not sure about the scope of an ability, ask the player to clarify. You're very strong, you say, right? How strong? Could you lift a 50-liter beer keg? For more intense conflicts, compare the gap between the abilities. No difference, tie. The situation does not change. One side is slightly better, minor success. Graze or light injury, disadvantage. One side is clearly better, solid success. Injury, treatment required. Also, any momentary advantage is gone. One side is much better, major success. Incapacitated, heavily injured, can't continue the conflict. One side is outclassing the other, outrageous success, kill, or genre appropriate variant thereof. Keep in mind, tell amazing stories. Keep the players on the edge of their seats because they care. Use in-world facts and judge the outcomes of all actions. Be fair. Love the player characters, but respect the genre conventions. So what I liked about this was that it assigned, by ranking these things, these narrative statements, these phrases, but by giving them a number and therefore some mechanic, though it wasn't a die roll, it gave it some sort of, fact, some sort of, thing that it wasn't just totally subjective. So you had this subjective narrative language to play with and get this imagineering working and get that, side of your brain working. But you also had this thing to, hang your hat on to say you weren't just, just making things up. There was some sort of kind of structure to it. So understand this. What's happening is I have been watching all of this media from 2014 and taking these 8 episodes of, especially concentrating on these 8 episodes of Rick and Morty that aired during 2014, and specifically mining those. I've been watching them over and over again. It was crazy. And so I've been trying to take aspects of those episodes of Rick and Morty and aspects of other elements of 2014 and spread them between aspects of our main protagonist kind of character that's going to be passing through this kind of dungeon experience that's kind of loosely set up on the rules of micro chapbook RPG dungeon generation, but it's really going to be like a world and like dimensions. And we'll see how it works. So I'll just kind of basically take you through it because I'm already now like 8 minutes late. So here's our character. Her name is Crystal 911. Okay, and that came from this movie called Ladies of the House, which is terrible, from 2014. Her archetype is Dr. Whistleblower, which actually came from RoboCop from 2014. I'm not going to explain to you. I'm just going to tell you like the information. I'm not going to go into the backstory because I don't have time. Her gimmick is, this would be like the major thing that's understandable about her. Like her archetype is like, so Dr. Whistleblower. So basically what the story, I'm not gonna be able to go into like really the backstory on her and explain things. But understand, like, okay, so like in Rick and Morty, like, okay, so basically the kind of, it's hard to explain because like I want to go into the backstory, but I won't be able to. So I'm gonna basically have to shoot through this and we're gonna have to come back to the backstory later. Gimmick, which I rated her the 6. Breaking sacred seals and barriers, and that's from a movie called Pyramid from 2014. The skill, which is not the obvious thing that people would know about her, but she can actually do, that's the 5, is death, the ultimate stroke reducer, and that's from Rick and Morty episode, that's the Mr. Meeseeks episode. Equipment, number 4, is rated at number 4. These are the 4 things. You get 3 pieces of equipment, but it's a meta skill from using equipment. She's got a metallic blue-green bikini, which is from a movie called Avalanche Sharks. Everything's from 2014, so I'm going to stop mentioning the year 2014 because everything's from that. Ovenless brownies from a beaker. That's what Doofus Rick has that. She's got a relation to Doofus Rick. I'll just explain that. Hatchet from The Unmoving. That's, again, from Pyramid. Vehicle or creature. Antichrist hover car. That's from VHS Viral from 2014. Her home base is inside a simulation. That's from the Rick and Morty episode with the M. Night Shyamalians. And that's like who she is. So like she's like a whistleblower because she's basically, understand this, is that she's the, like that whole thing of like the universe, the teenyverse inside Rick's car. She's from the tinyverse inside Doofus Rick's car. But it's like a different relationship because, Doofus Rick is a completely different kind of person. So he's like, it's like a completely different relationship. Anyway, Here are the kind of the rooms that she's going to go through. So when you in micro chapbook RPG, you roll, every time you go into a new room to figure out what kind of room you're in. And so like the cool thing about this system is that you can regard these numbers either just as a purely, random number, like roll the number to figure out, which of 6 entries you're getting, or you can look at it as as a number assignment of the value of like how difficult the thing is. Like if you look at the doors and portals, 3 plus 3 equals 6. You can know what that is. That's a Rick and Morty reference, but that's like 3 plus 3 equals 6. Everyone knows that, so that's a universal code for this is open, right? It's like everybody knows this. Number 2 is show us your cut. So if you see the doors, there's like a ranking that goes up and as far as how hard or easy it is. So unlocked is 3 plus 3 equals 6 because everybody knows that. Show us your number 2 is show us your concept of good TV. But you can see that she's got any of these. Like she could do anything to prove like what's your concept of good TV on her equipment, which is number 3. She has. Oh wait, no, this is not her. That's the enemy. She has she's wearing a metallic blue green bikini at number 4, which is rated at number 4. So like she can ace anything. She also has an Antichrist hover course. She can just drive around like in front of it and be like, that's it. She could ace that test and go through. Number 3 is drop in loads to Zardoz tribute. That's from the Gazorp episode, but she's not equipped to do that. So she would need to like find someone to help her with that, obviously, to get through portals like that, to get the necessary biological equipment to do that. Number 4 is say the safe word from a movie called Safe Word. Here's the issue. What's the safe word? Number 5 is snap shut long distance. That's from a movie called Coherence, 2000 from 2014, obviously. But she's got this great thing, which is I keep on going to the enemy. Breaking sacred seals and barriers, which she's got rated at a 6, so she probably aces through that. But check this out. The ultimate door, which can come up multiple times, is it will weigh your heart and judge, right? But her great thing that would really be like her moral like high ground is her archetype, Dr. Whistleblower from RoboCop. But herself, she only rates that as a 2. She doesn't really care the fact that she's a whistleblower. She's like, you know what I mean? She doesn't really rate that. So I think she needs like an angel or someone really good with her. As far as the rooms are concerned, Tibetan prayer flags at St. Equus. St. Equus is the animal hospital that Beth works at. But these places are not. It's not. We're not playing Rick and Morty. They're just like the terms and the words we just take inspiration. They go beyond that, and it's like shipping things. Like the world starts to change. We start to change it. So, but you see, like that's like base, like that's like all the healing can happen there. You can meet like NPCs if we need to import things there. It's like the Nebuchadnezzar. It's like home base. It's like one. It's like everything's perfect there. So it's like that's like you can like if we get hot, if we rescue people, we could drop them off there freely. See, number 2 is a world where people evolve from corn. It's not good. It's not bad. It's a world where people evolve from corn. It is what it is. Number 3 is the whole place is retro coochie patrol. That's also from this movie called The Ladies of the House of 2014, which is terrible. The whole place is retro coochie patrol. It's getting like dicey. It's like, it's getting a little sleazy. Number 4 is it's a labyrinth, so it's confusing. And then number 5 is magic in the forest room. That's good. Do you think this world is really real? That's again, it's confusing. And the boss can only show up in number 4 or number 6. And the boss can only show up in number 4 or number 6. Every time you roll a room, you're also going to be, after you roll the room, you're going to figure out, you're going to roll for the enemies, and you're going to roll a 6-sided dice, and it's either going to come up, and the number 6 is always the boss, which I renamed the Tyrant in honor of our best friend, Sam Dobler. Okay, but I didn't name them Sam Dobler. I named them Ginger Lemon Wasabi because we got the name from 2014. But here are the enemies, the normal enemies 1 through 5. It's a Big Bird trapped in the Matrix, Phone Bitch, because they could like alert the other people in the Matrix, Flu Hating Rapper, because you see the Phone Bitch can alert the person the Flu Hating Rapper is coming after you because you're like a virus in the Matrix, so they're coming after you. Then there's the Lady Carjacker because they want to obviously updating from the flu hating rapper, because you can encounter these guys randomly, you know, because you can encounter like flu hating rapper twice and then lady carjacker and then go back to phone bitch. But it's just the concept of them, you know, going up in number, like in difficulty, because you'd have to beat them with a higher number. The flu hating rapper is obviously like, you know, an increased difficulty level. Lady carjacker, because they're obviously, now that they've identified you as a virus, now they're trying to take out your ride. You know what I mean? And then number 5, which is like the mini boss, is Dr. Murder Baby. And they came from a movie called The Invoking, The Invoking 2 from 2014. And then finally, the Tyrant gets stats that come from 2014, just like our main character, Crystal 911, gets gets stats just from 2014. So we got the name Gingerlyn Wasabi that also came from the Ladies of the House. So she gets her name from the same movie that Crystal got her name. Her archetype is dirty underground babes on boob cam, which actually came from a movie called The Pyramid, because you interpret things differently. And her gimmick is Venus Vagina Man Trap. She's like a porno actress, right? But she's like a violent porno actress. But her skill is enjoy the show of force, because she can fight physically as well. That's from RoboCop. Her vehicle is Rick the Alien. That's not like Rick. It's Rick the Alien, like that's where we got the name, but it's just like an alien called Rick. It's just like how she's gonna get out of here if she gets out of here. Her domain is the exit shit tunnel of the damned, because she's the final boss. So if we beat the final boss, we can get out of there. But the name exit shit tunnel of the damned, that's also from this movie called Safe Space, Safe Word, because everything has to come from 2014. All this stuff is none of this stuff is just stuff that I made up. All of these words, phrases, they're all taken from things that I saw in movies from 2014 or shows from 2014. That's how the spell casting from the meta RPG works. Her equipment that she rates as a 3, so this is like not her greatest thing. She doesn't like her domain, that's why it's a 1. The equipment is 3. It's now it's a private cage. That was from Edge of Tomorrow. Whirlwind Black Mecha Whip. That's cool. That's from Edge of Tomorrow too. And she also has praying mantis DNA. She doesn't have praying mantis DNA like she has it inside her. She has praying mantis DNA. Like I guess she could work it, use it for something. And obviously, I think if you beat her, you get this stuff or other stuff as well. Also, with Meta RPG, the Micro Chapbook RPG, after you beat an enemy, you roll for money or equipment. And at first, I thought I was going to modify those rules so that I would go through and pick specific items from 2014 to sub in. And then I thought it would be better to just, every time we beat an enemy, to just roll, figure out some way to roll on these unused stuff from 2014, because we got plenty of them. Because then it would be that we will get random things. Sometimes we'll get items. Sometimes we'll get things that can only be interpreted as extra quests. Sometimes we'll get things that will be can only be interpreted as new enemies showing up, right? Bonus damage, possibly. Okay, so that gets the conversation started. I'm 20 minutes late for my mission, which is unforgivable, which shouldn't be the case. I gotta go. I love you. I love you. I love you. We have to do this quickly. 2 of Swords. You cannot honor 2 masters. You cannot do 2 things at once. You cannot be on time and early. You cannot be on time and late. You can only be late when you're late. And I am late, and that's only going to affect my life. I love you. I love you. I love you. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. If you are not subscribed, subscribe. If you liked and enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you think I have not explained something adequately and you've got questions, let me know in the comment section below so that I can help you out next time. Okay? I wanted to make this video happen, and too many times I let this video not happen because, I don't have all the time in the world to explain everything. Let's just do it. I love you. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.